gives them potentially $1.1 million that they can make. Unbelievable number, extremely high terms. WNBA Players Association turned it down. They said there's more money that's on the table, and this is unbelievable. We're going to talk about that and more today on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. Folks, I'll tell you this. You normally, in a negotiation, and when one party takes it public, as this goes back to Gumagay Project B and whatever Project B is doing, fantastic. But the WNBA owners have literally said, here's the deal. You can make up to $1.1 million if you're good as you say you are, and you can do what you say you're going to do. Now, at the end of the day, I always told you from day one with Money Mike that Caitlin Clark blueprint is the master plan of the league. And they're not looking for individuals or paying players. And a lot of people have looked at this a lot of different ways of how they're going to be able to explain what's going on, what are the owners offering. And it really comes back as you look at it. You look at AP, you know, AP News, they put out a report and they said, here's the deal. The proposal can get you a salary of a max salary of over $1.1 million. And really, they're saying you can reach that number with incentives, right? That you're going to be able to stack up, which means, say a player like A'ja Wilson's the MVP of the WNBA. Well, A'ja Wilson's going to make $1.1 million when A'ja Wilson was making $250,000. Now, when you dig deeper and you look at this, and you look again, as I've always said with the Caitlin Clark business model, you're going to be in a different situation because her revenue top end is so high, and now it looks like the players in the players union were basically negotiating for themselves, because these players, I mean, you got Gumagay 13 years, you got Collier's getting there. I mean, there's nowhere for them to go, right? So the WNBA is really looking at a plan that says, hey, Mike, I'm looking at all the rookie players coming in. Those are my target markets. And those are the players I want to collaborate with. Those are the players that actually are going to make me the most money. And now, Mike, I want to offer an incentive package. I'm raising the base from $68,000 to $220,000. I'm going to give you a max salary of $850,000. And why am I going over these numbers again, which are public numbers, everybody knows, is the fact that now that you do know the numbers, the WNBA Players Union, okay, is in a pickle. And they're in a pickle because they wanted to do something. They thought they could get public opinion, and now they've lost public opinion. So now they're coming back and saying, well, I don't like the offer. I want revenue sharing. I want revenue sharing. Well, here's the problem with that. And this is where I go back, and I really want to share this, because you'll hear me talk about COGS, which is cost of goods sold, right? And that's where Gumagay goes back to the product. Who's the product? And what's the product and what can it do? And when I go over the cost of goods sold, I want you to understand exactly what I mean. Because here's the deal, folks. The cost of goods sold are the actual product. That's the players. Here's the problem Money Mike's ran into time and time again, is when you have those players and you're going to get their cost of goods sold, well, your cost is so low because the WNBA, here's the numbers, folks, and this is where you got to go dilute, and you go back to Catherine Engelbert because her firm ran the numbers. Now, the WNBA Players Association doesn't have to speculate or guess, and here's where I think they may have missed the boat. Kathy's firm said, look, here's the deal. The WNBA is going to make about $1 billion in revenue, okay? But Duluth also said that the entire women's sports is going to make about $2.5 billion, right? Now, they're both working off of this number, okay? So that's the number they're going. Now, the Players Association is saying, no, you're not showing us the other numbers, and the WNBA owners are really saying this to you. And folks, I want everybody to put an owner's hat on with Money Mike. Because, I got my grandson, he loves to play a game called Beyblade. And he says, let it rip, Papa, let it rip. I'm going to let it rip a little bit, right? So you got to be able to have cost justification here. And the WNBA Players Association, okay, when you got the loot that's run the numbers, is given the valuations in this environment of negotiation, the players union should have a firm that's bringing these numbers and saying, no, here's what you're going to make, right? Because you should be able to tell the NBA owners their business. And that, folks, that's across the board in any negotiation, whether you're doing a merger or an acquisition. I mean, you're going to be able to get the numbers to determine what the projected earnings of revenue are. Now, here's the problem. It goes right back to where Money Mike told you it was going. And man, oh man, I'm going to tell you this, and I want to tell you straight to the point, because a lot of people are asking these questions, and I want to make sure I address the questions, because they're like, well, wait a minute, how come we're not reaching a balance here of how come this negotiation is not moving forward? Well, because the owners do not want to pay for players that are not going to generate revenue for the league. And those, okay, you get into a personalized managed agreement, which the owners are saying, look, here's the deal. We're going to pay you guys more money, right? Folks, I'm searching it up here. We're going to pay you guys more money. We're not paying you guys more money for Project B. That's Project B's problem, right? Because at the end of the day, if we're paying you more money, then here's what's got to happen. You've got to be dedicated to what we do here. You've got to be dedicated to the facility, the training, the rehab, because we're not going to take an injured player that's coming back from another league. And this is where I had concern with Unrivaled, right? Because at the end of the day, you can have Unrivaled there, but with Unrivaled, you must understand that Unrivaled plays and then the WNBA plays, and the players can't play 100 games. I don't know where you're going. And today, the WNBA today, folks, when you look at it, they play a 44-game schedule today. They're in an expansion mode by 2030. That 44-game schedule can go to 66 games. And if that does happen, the league is going to play in a longer period of time. And I don't know why anybody doesn't see this, right? So when you do play in a longer period of time, here's what you do get.